A Mortal's Journey to Immortality Episode 337. In the previous episode, Han Li shocked the Endless Sky Saintess when the Heavenvoid Cauldron suddenly awakened, swallowing her sacred cauldron and even capturing the incarnation of the Holy Beast in an instant. Realizing she had completely lost control of the battle, the Saintess tried to stop him, but Han Li unleashed the Bloodshadow evasion and vanished before she could react. Meanwhile, across the plains, the elegant man and the purple-haired woman discovered that their plans had collapsed. Han Li had escaped. The Holy Beast was taken, and the Elder Devil slipped into the Great Jin despite his injuries. Knowing they could not ignore such a disaster, the three immortals regrouped and decided that the Saintess must secretly travel to the Great Jin to pursue Han Li and reclaim what was lost. At the end of the previous episode, far away in Liao Province, a routine river journey was suddenly interrupted when a startled voice cried out. There was a massive block of ice floating in the water. And inside it, a person. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. When Wang Tiechang heard this, he was stunned for a moment. The voice sounded very much like the maid named Huang Ying. However, it was quite odd for there to be ice floating in the river during flood season. Not to mention the day's warm weather. Confused, he looked up at the sky to confirm that the sun was indeed blazing high above, its heat pressing down on everything around him. Beads of sweat began to form on his forehead even through the thin fabric of his clothes. Could someone really be on that ice? Despite all his years of experience in the world of Zhonghu, he had never heard of such a thing. Cautiously, he reached behind him to grab the two short iron spears strapped across his back and stepped toward the source of the commotion with quiet, measured footsteps. When he arrived at the side of the boat, Wang Tiechang saw a small crowd of 7 people gathered together. They were a mixture of maids, servants, and boatmen, all pointing and whispering among themselves. Curious, he cast his gaze toward the river and saw something approximately 15 meters away, a sparkling white object drifting along the current. Focusing more closely, he realized it was a block of crystal clear ice. And inside it, a person was trapped, frozen in place. He muttered under his breath. How strange. Could it be that someone fell into the river and got encased in ice? Footsteps approached from behind, and a deep, hoarse voice asked, Brother Wang, what is the matter? Without turning, Wang Tiechang already knew the voice belonged to Gao Defeng, his longtime partner, known for his iron-like body and formidable boxing techniques. Gao Defeng, a large man with a full beard, strolled casually to his side, clicking his tongue in surprise. Oh, there really is someone in the ice. How rare. Wang Tiechang chuckled coldly. It is only a dead person. No matter how strange the circumstances, there is little to worry about. Gao Defeng laughed heartily, stroking his beard. Definitely. At least the corpse won't trouble us. At that moment, a middle-aged man dressed in Confucian robes approached with a stern expression. His gaze swept over the crowd as he scolded the servants. What are you making a fuss about? Did you forget that the mistress has just gone to sleep? This man was Master Zhou, the trusted retainer of an important government official. He was currently employing Wang Tiechang and Gao Defeng to guard the official's family. Master, in the river. The young maid Huang Ying pointed shyly toward the ice. Master Zhou glanced at the block of ice and saw the frozen figure within. His expression shifted briefly to one of surprise, then hardened into a frown. It is only a dead person. There is no need to investigate further. Return to your duties. Do you want me to call Steward Wang? His voice carried a harsh warning. Upon hearing the name, Steward Wang, the servants immediately scattered, and even the 3 boatmen quietly departed. Wang Tiechang and Gao Defeng exchanged a glance, preparing to leave as well, sensing it was unwise to linger. However, Gao Defeng paused, his eyes fixed on the ice. Suddenly, he shouted, How is this possible? That person is still alive. Wang Tiechang and Master Zhou turned sharply. The block of ice appeared completely still, yet Gao Defeng insisted. I saw his eyes move. He is alive. Wang Tiechang nodded with trust in his partner. Brother Gao wouldn't be mistaken. That person must be alive. Master Zhou hesitated but eventually said, It does not concern us if he lives or dies. We should not bring trouble to the mistress or her daughter. Other boats have ignored him. We can do the same. Wang Tiecheng did not feel anger or moral outrage. Oddities were part of life in Zhonghu, and protecting the family from trouble was more important than curiosity. But Gao Deifeng's hesitation suggested he was not entirely comfortable leaving the person there. Then a sweet voice rang out from across the boat. The act of saving a life is greater than any mountain. My mother has a merciful heart. If this person is alive, should we not save him? A young woman in embroidered robes stepped forward, followed by Huang Ying, who looked down shyly. The young lady's resolve was clear, and she spoke with gentle firmness. Master Zhou bowed respectfully. Young miss, this may not be wise. Bringing a stranger on board. What is unwise about it? Surviving such a calamity and encountering us is an opportunity to display our virtue. We even have an empty room. Could a dying man pose danger to us? She replied calmly but firmly. Her decision was final. With no choice, Master Zhou agreed with a salute. Very well, since you command it, we will rescue this person from the ice. He glanced at Wang Tiecheng and Gao Defeng. I fear you two will have to undertake the task of breaking him free. Gao Defeng smiled casually. No problem, we have the strength for it. Wang Tiecheng examined the block of ice and nodded, raising no objections. Time passed as the men carefully chipped away at the thick ice. The effort was strenuous, but eventually, the person trapped within was freed. He was unconscious, his body fragile and pale, showing significant loss of blood and energy. After some time in darkness, Han Li finally woke with a splitting headache. The first thing he heard was a young woman's voice asking anxiously, Old scholar, when will he awaken? 2 days have passed. Has nothing happened? An old man's voice, curt and slightly embarrassed, responded, What does a servant like you know? I only have basic knowledge of medicine. His condition is strange. His blood and energy are depleted. Yet his vessels and meridians are extraordinarily strong. This is beyond my understanding. The young woman chuckled, teasing him. Perhaps you misread the blood vessels? Nonsense. I have never been wrong when caring for you. Perhaps he has encountered a rare sickness. I am baffled, but I do not deceive. The old scholar said, his tone a mix of pride and worry. As Han Li's consciousness returned, he realized he was lying on a soft, comfortable bed with a thick mattress and a smooth blanket. Relief washed over him as he heard them speaking the language of the Great Jin, confirming he was within the Great Jin borders. Yet, he felt the toll of his ordeal immediately. Han Li used his spiritual sense to examine his body. The soul lock seal had reactivated after he had escaped the endless sky saintus, and his body had been frozen in ice for a full year. His use of the blood shadow evasion had drained his blood essence, severely weakening him. His true essence was almost entirely depleted, reducing his cultivation to the qi condensation stage. Complete recovery would take at least 5 to 6 years under proper care. At least he could feel the presence of the greatly weakened Silvermoon within his flying swords, offering some comfort. However, his second nascent soul had yet to return, and although he could faintly sense it, it had survived. If he failed to call it back, it might become independent and even attempt to dominate him. Fortunately, once he fully recovered, his second nascent soul would be no match. Han Li then spoke through his spiritual sense to the bamboo container he carried. Senior, how long have I been unconscious since arriving in the Great Jin? Are there any cultivators nearby? Oh, you are finally awake. You have been floating in the river for an entire year. Once your magical energy ran out, the ice block drifted along the river surface. But your current condition is far from good. Youngster Han, Monarch Soul Divergence responded lazily. Han Li smiled, acknowledging his misfortune but recognizing the miracle of his survival. Few could escape from the hands of several late nascent soul cultivators. Yet he had managed it. Monarch Soul Divergence snorted, You are remarkably carefree, but why have you never mentioned your divine spirit treasure to me? No wonder you kept me outside your room during seclusion. I have always wanted to personally investigate a divine spirit treasure. Forget the excuses. When you are able to take out the cauldron again, hand it over to me for examination. Of course I have no objections in letting Senior examine the Heaven Void Cauldron once I recover. Han Li calmly replied. Good, Monarch Soul Divergence said in a relaxed tone. Since you have agreed, the matter is settled. As for nearby cultivators, there is only one on board this ship. A girl at the third layer of chi condensation. You need not pay her much attention. Han Li felt a flicker of surprise at the mention of her cultivation level, and slowly opened his eyes. He saw a young girl, only 15 years old, standing beside his bed. Her eyes were wide and bright, her skin fair, and her expression filled with excitement. She called out joyfully, Yi, old scholar, he is awake. Sitting beside her was the gray-robed old man, approximately 60 years old, his face kind and calm as he observed Han Li. The girl quickly spoke to him. Old scholar, look after him. I will go and inform the young miss. Before Han Li could respond, she darted off down the corridor. Han Li was momentarily stunned by the girl's energy, but the old man chuckled lightly and shook his head. I hope you do not mind her temperament, he said kindly. Han Li returned the smile and slowly sat up. I do not dare. Are you the ones who saved me? And where exactly am I? He asked. We are on a boat on the Mystic River. While your life was uncertain in the river, my clan's second young miss issued the order to save you. As for me, I am He Wen, a scholar employed by the clan mistress. The old man replied with a gentle tone. Han Li cupped his fist in gratitude. I see. My surname is Han. I must thank the young miss for saving my life. The old man smiled and asked with curiosity. Our young miss has a compassionate heart, but I wonder whether she will meet you personally. Would Mr. Han tell me how you were sealed inside a block of ice and still survived? I am quite curious. Han Li hesitated before replying carefully. I do not wish to deceive you, sir, but it is inconvenient for me to explain. That is fine. Everyone has their own difficulties. The old man waved his hand with understanding, allowing the matter to rest. Shortly after, the girl returned with a spring in her step. Scholar, the young miss commands that you rest for now. She will leave the rest for later. She glanced curiously at Han Li, her bright eyes filled with innocence and eagerness. Han Li smiled at her, and the girl blushed lightly, lowering her head. Inwardly, she wondered why someone so ordinary seemed to merit the young miss' special concern. Since it is the young miss' command, how about you rest for now? Sir Han, I will take my leave, the old man said, standing and bowing slightly before departing. Han Li expressed his thanks again as they left. Alone, he gazed at the ceiling and exhaled a sigh. For the next 2 days, no one disturbed him except a maid who delivered 3 meals a day. The solitude allowed Han Li to take medicinal pills and meditate, aiding in his gradual recovery. He observed the young girl previously mentioned using his spiritual sense. She was indeed the second young miss. Beautiful and humble, yet perceptive, Han Li sensed that she had already recognized his identity as a cultivator. Through casual conversations with the others aboard, Han Li learned more about the boat and its occupants. The ship carried members of the Cao clan, a military family from Liao province. The family was relatively small, the original wife, 2 concubines, and 3 children. The second young miss, Cao Mengrong, had been born to the original wife. She was frail and sickly as a child, raised by another woman before returning to the clan recently. The eldest daughter, born to a concubine, was already married, and the youngest son was only 12. Other significant figures aboard included Scholar He, Master Zhou, and the icy-eyed steward Wang, who oversaw the servants. Guards Wang Tiecheng and Gao Dashan maintained security. Han Li noted that Steward Wang's qi circulation was deep and strong, surpassing the superficial martial arts of the 2 guards. Though it struck him as unusual, Han Li withdrew his spiritual sense and focused instead on his cultivation recovery. 2 days later, the second young miss sent a maid to invite Han Li to one of the larger rooms. When he entered, Cao Mengrong asked the other attendants to leave and greeted him with a warm smile. Brother Han, you must also be from a Taoist sect. I am Cao Mengrong, a disciple of the profound Jade sect. May I ask which sect you are from? She asked politely. assuming Han Li's cultivation was of Taoist origin due to his lack of evil qi or Buddhist light. The profound Jade sect? Han Li repeated with a frown. He had not heard of it before. But this was unsurprising given the countless smaller sects in the Great Jin. Cao Mengrong noticed his hesitation and smiled kindly. My sect is merely small and obscure in the Liao province. It is natural that you would not know of it. I am but an unaffiliated cultivator. Han Li said humbly. I have only recently returned to cultivation in the Great Jin and am unfamiliar with the sects here. I fear I may have made a poor impression. Cao Mengrong's eyes brightened. So Brother Han has recently returned to society. I too have left my apprenticeship only recently. But my sect is truly small. Yet you, Brother Han, are young and possess remarkably profound cultivation. That is truly impressive. Han Li shrugged modestly. It is nothing much. I have only progressed this far through fortune. Not pressing further, Cao Mengrong shifted the conversation. Why were you floating in the river inside a block of ice? Were you attacked? That is mostly correct, Han Li replied with a wry smile. I must thank you for saving me. Cao Mengrong shook her head. It was trivial. I knew you would escape the ice eventually. With or without my aid. But for mortals, seeing someone floating in the river encased in ice was startling. So I intervened. It is natural for small sect cultivators to assist one another. Han Li observed her silently, impressed by her thoughtfulness, and nodded in acknowledgement. How are you recovering, Brother Han? If you wish, you may stay on the boat a few more days. I also hope you might share some cultivation insights. Cao Mengrong said, her bright eyes hopeful. Han Li considered and replied, I have no pressing matters. I may stay a few more days. Sharing techniques, however, is not possible, but we can exchange cultivation experiences. The girl's face lit up. Having left her apprenticeship early due to limited talent, she had not learned deep techniques. Guidance from Han Li would be invaluable. After arranging a time for discussion, Han Li bid her farewell and returned to his room. Monarch Soul Divergence asked, Youngster Han, why remain behind? Do you not wish to search for a spirit vein to restore your magical power? Han Li explained, I will search for a spirit vein eventually. But the larger sects likely occupy them. There are more cultivators here than I anticipated. If I rush out now with my current cultivation, I would risk danger. I cannot afford to recklessly invite death. I see. So your plan is, Monarch Soul Divergence began. Han Li continued, I have sufficient medicine and several spirit well objects. Within a year, I can restore my foundation establishment cultivation, giving me time to dissolve my baleful qi. The girl is perceptive, but her cultivation is shallow and her intentions harmless. She will help clarify the landscape of the Great Jin cultivation world before I proceed. I can afford to wait a year. Do as you wish, Monarch Soul Divergence said with concern. But time is short. Acquiring materials for my puppet body will still take time. Han Li reassured him, Senior, I will work on both dissolving my baleful qi and gathering the materials. Assistance from a sect would accelerate the process. But I will act step by step. The larger sects will not notice you, and the smaller ones lack capability. The materials you require are rare, Monarch Soul Divergence cautioned. The specifics are yet undetermined, Han Li said with a small smile. Perhaps I will not need to search, they may come to me. Afterwards, he ceased talking to Monarch Soul Divergence and took out a set of formation flags from his storage pouch. Then, he placed down a simple restriction around him before taking a medicine pill and meditating on the bed. In the Liao province's Guanning Prefecture, there was a small town in the west known as Xinan. Nearby, two slender women dressed in azure Taoist robes were heading toward a small remote mountain. Their movements were graceful and ethereal. With a faint glow under their feet, they floated just above the ground, their robes flowing behind them as they glided effortlessly, barely a foot off the earth, moving as if riding on the wind itself. The younger of the two, appearing only 18, spoke with a hint of worry in her voice. Senior Martial Sister Lu, will Master truly not assist us? Even if we include Junior Martial Sister Cao, I fear we cannot handle Wu Xiaoyu of the Sharp Spirit sect. He is at the 8th layer of qi condensation. and the sect master holds him in high regard. We are only a pair of 6th and 7th layer cultivators. Even with help, we stand little chance. If we fail, Junior Martial Sister Cao will have no choice but to let Wu Xiaoyu rescue that criminal, which I fear will bring disaster to her father. Senior Martial Sister Lu, slightly older, sighed deeply. There is nothing we can do. Cultivator sects generally avoid interfering in mortal government affairs. Junior Martial Sister Cao is only an in-name disciple of our profound Jade sect and has only received a few shallow teachings from Master. Master did not inform her of the full situation because the government maintains low-level cultivators to handle certain matters. Wu Xiaoyu has a personal connection with the person he wishes to rescue and is aware of Junior Martial Sister Cao's affiliation. When he came to challenge her, we could not ignore the matter. Master, constrained by the sharp spirit sect's influence, sent us to warn her. Senior Martial Sister Yu, despite her cultivation, has no deep relationship with Junior Martial Sister Cao and would not risk offending the sharp spirit sect. The younger woman nodded. I remember Junior Martial Sister Cao's father, Country Officer Cao. He appeared strong and was very respectful toward Master when stationed nearby. If he is implicated, it would be disastrous. Senior Martial Sister Lu replied calmly. Even if he fails, he may only lose his position. There is no mortal danger. Since Junior Martial Sister Cao appears calm, perhaps she has a plan. The younger sister smiled. Indeed, everything will become clear once we reach the mountaintop. After quickening their pace, the two arrived at the mountaintop, completing the journey in roughly the time it takes to finish a meal. They were surprised to find a simple straw cottage 300 meters away. In front of it stood a modest stone pavilion. A young man and a girl sat at a stone table, engaged in quiet conversation. The man's appearance was ordinary, though his complexion pale, and the girl listened attentively, her expression gentle. The moment the two women appeared, the man sensed their presence and paused mid-sentence. He turned to the girl and said, "Fellow Taoist Cao, your guests have arrived." Rising with a polite smile, he acknowledged them. Cao Mengrong, the girl, stood as well and greeted them warmly. Senior Martial Sisters, it is good to see you. The older of the two Martial Sisters beamed. Junior Martial Sister, you appear well. Yi, your cultivation has advanced an entire level. Congratulations. I only managed a breakthrough in the past few days. I am still lacking compared to you. Cao Mengrong replied with excitement and humility. The younger sister eyed the man in Confucian robes, curiosity evident. Junior Martial Sister Cao, which sect does this fellow Taoist belong to? His cultivation seems high, perhaps 10th layer. The man calmly answered, I am Han Li, a loose cultivator. I am Lady Cao's guest. The older Martial Sister smiled knowingly. So that explains Junior Martial Sister's calmness. With an expert like fellow Taoist Han present, Wu Xiaoyu will only embarrass himself. Cao Mengrong gestured politely. Senior Martial Sisters, please sit. Although Brother Han is a loose cultivator, he is experienced. I have managed to break through in a short time due to his guidance. Just as they began to sit, a series of deep shrieks echoed from below the mountain. He has arrived, the younger sister exclaimed, alarmed. How did he find this place so quickly? The older sister asked. Tense. Cao Mengrong remained calm. Do not be alarmed. I invited Wu Xiaoyu. He sought me out several days ago. With Brother Han's agreement, I arranged this meeting. The younger sister quickly regained composure, confident with Han Li's presence. A ball of white light suddenly appeared, descending rapidly toward the mountaintop, revealing the silhouettes of two figures within. A flying magic tool, and he has another accompanying him, the younger sister cried in surprise. Cao Mengrong and the other senior sister exchanged a worried glance. Flying magic tools were rare, especially for low-level cultivators. Mid-grade tools were far beyond their reach, and such devices usually indicated a powerful backer. Han Li observed the newcomers calmly, noting their presence without concern. 9 months had passed since Cao Mengrong had rescued him. His recovery had been faster than anticipated, thanks to medicinal pills and the relative mildness of his injuries. His foundation establishment cultivation had been restored. though his vitality and blood essence remained partially depleted. Still, he now possessed sufficient power to defend himself. Cao Mengrong, unaware of the depth of his recovery, often asked Han Li questions regarding her cultivation, which he effortlessly answered. Under his guidance, she had advanced to the 4th layer of qi condensation, earning respect and bringing her closer to becoming an official disciple. Han Li, having learned the general circumstances of the great Jin cultivation world from her, was planning to depart in a month. His medicine supplies were sufficient for qi condensation cultivators, but he could not distribute them recklessly due to potential dangers from opportunists and robbers in the region. Suddenly, Cao Mengrong received a warning letter from her master. Alarmed, she turned to Han Li. He learned that an 8th layer qi condensation cultivator intended to challenge her. Han Li agreed to face the opponent on her behalf, planning to use the duel as an opportunity to leave afterward. As the new arrivals descended, Han Li observed clearly that they were cultivators at the 8th and 11th layers of qi condensation. Beneath his notice, the 3 women on the mountaintop were frozen in shock, while Han Li slowly stepped forward from the pavilion. "I will be fighting on fellow Taoist Cao's behalf. Do you plan on a formal match or an all-out battle?" he asked calmly, raising his head to face the newcomers. The ball of white light touched the ground, and the figures were revealed. A middle-aged man with slender eyes, holding a wood-board magic tool, sneered, "It was fortunate that I arrived. Our junior martial brother Wu would have suffered a loss. Your face is unfamiliar, but your cultivation is high. I will be your opponent. Let us fight now and save words for later." The other man, tall and over 30, stared coldly at Han Li and the others. "Clearly Wu Xiaoyu." The older senior martial sister gasped. "Ma Yulin, how could it be you? You are an enforcer of the Sharp Spirit sect. How can you involve yourself in others' affairs so freely?" The middle-aged man spoke harshly. "It seems Fairy Lu does not realize that I am not an outsider. Junior martial brother Wu and I share mutual family ties. Assisting him is no issue." The younger senior martial sister appeared apprehensive, and Cao Mengrong's expression wavered in concern. Han Li glanced at the middle-aged man and smiled subtly. "Then let us quickly start. Once done, I have urgent matters to attend to." The middle-aged man coldly smiled, sheathing the woodboard magic tool and pulling a small yellow pitchfork from his storage pouch. When the 3 girls saw that Han Li and the middle-aged man named Ma Yulin were about to fight, they all unconsciously took a step back and held their breaths. From their perspective, a battle between 2 high-layer qi condensation cultivators was an extraordinarily rare sight. Something almost impossible to witness in ordinary circumstances. Yet Han Li remained completely calm. To him, a fight with a qi condensation cultivator was hardly worth his attention. He simply stood in place, his hands behind his back, waiting for his opponent to make the first move. Ma Yulin, already enraged by Han Li's indifferent posture, raised the small yellow pitchfork in his hand. He muttered an incantation under his breath and formed a precise hand gesture with his free hand. The pitchfork trembled violently, a golden light igniting along its surface before it shot forward in a bright streak, heading directly toward Han Li with blinding speed. Han Li's expression remained serene, showing no hint of urgency. Without even reaching for a magic tool, he raised his hand and released a dozen talismans, each combusting into a fist-sized fireball. They surged toward the incoming yellow streak in perfect formation. Inside, Ma Yulin sneered at the display, thinking to himself that the yellow windfork was a mid-grade magic tool personally given to him by his master, and that a few small fireballs could never stop it. Yet he was unwilling to meet the attack directly, for fear of damaging the tool. With quick precision, he formed another incantation, forcing the yellow streak to twist and curve, skillfully avoiding the fireballs as it arced back toward Han Li. Han Li simply smiled, pointing at the fireballs. At once, they halted midair, merging together into a swirling cloud of flames the size of a wheel. The fire coalesced further, forming a 3-meter-long fire snake that lunged forward, wrapping tightly around the flying pitchfork and restraining it completely. Ma Yulin's eyes widened in disbelief. Desperately, he poured all of his magic power into the pitchfork, trying to break free, but the more power he exerted, the more the pitchfork glowed brightly. intertwining with the fire snake. The hum of the magic tool grew louder, a clear omen of impending destruction. Finally, realizing he could not win, Ma Yulin's face paled, and he shouted, "Stop, fellow Taoist's magic power is extraordinary. I concede defeat." Han Li's calm smile remained as he gestured for the fire snake to relax, allowing it to dissipate into glowing embers. The three women, watching from the pavilion, were struck dumb with amazement. An opponent of seemingly higher cultivation had been defeated effortlessly, and Han Li had barely moved. Wu Xiaoyu, standing nearby with an unpleasant expression, stammered hesitantly, "Senior Marshal Brother Ma, this..." "Enough, Junior Marshal Brother Wu," Ma Yulin interrupted sharply. "You have seen clearly that even I with my yellow windfork am no match. The fate of your nephew has been decided." Relieved to have saved his magic tool from destruction, Ma Yulin retrieved it and regarded Han Li with a newfound fear. He was unwilling to interfere further, fully aware that this cultivator's power was not to be underestimated. Wu Xiaoyu, seething with resentment, knew that if his 10th layer qi condensation senior martial brother could not compete, he stood no chance. With that, the two disciples of the Sharp Spirit sect departed, flying off the mountaintop in anger. The three women gathered around Han Li, curiosity sparkling in their eyes. They peppered him with questions about the magic techniques he had just used. Han Li offered a practiced explanation, describing some minor tricks to control low-grade magic techniques without revealing the true depth of his skill. The two senior martial sisters then respectfully requested guidance on their own cultivation issues, and Han Li casually agreed, giving them concise but effective advice. Over time, the day passed, and as night fell, an awkward sense settled over the group. The three women reluctantly departed for the evening. When they returned the following day, Han Li was gone. Only a letter of farewell remained. Cao Mengrong unfolded the note, reading Han Li's words, and stood there in stunned silence. Strangely, a sharp, indescribable pain gripped her at his sudden absence. The two senior martial sisters exchanged concerned glances, noting her unusual reaction. Over 100 kilometers away, Han Li soared through the sky on a flying magic tool, conversing with monarch soul divergence through his spiritual sense. "Youngster Han, have you truly decided to first head to the Guanning Prefecture and open the Feng clan's secret cave?" Monarch Soul Divergence asked. "Of course," Han Li replied. "I do not know when the pestilence demon's soul lock seal will stop being effective. I need to find a Buddhist technique to dispel my baleful qi, or else it will remain in the back of my mind and prevent me from fully restoring my magic power." Monarch Soul Divergence remained unconvinced. "Do not place too much hope in it. A trifling small clan of Buddhist cultivators may not possess any high-grade technique capable of dissolving baleful qi." Han Li frowned. "I know, but the Feng clan's secret cave is the easiest way. If I am fortunate, I might find the technique there. Otherwise, I must approach a famous Buddhist sect, which will be far more difficult given my current cultivation." Monarch Soul Divergence snorted. "After your cultivation dropped, even simple matters have become complicated. If you were still mid-nascent soul, you could have purchased the technique directly, using your status." Han Li could only smile bitterly. Even with higher cultivation, Buddhist sects often held strict restrictions on sharing techniques. Entering a sect to acquire the method himself would require oaths and shaving his head, a troublesome process he preferred to avoid. Perhaps a Confucian sect would be easier, he thought sullenly. Traveling west from the Liao province's Wuyuan prefecture, it took Han Li only a few weeks to cross into Guanning Prefecture. Along the way, he did not encounter any high-grade cultivators, only occasional qi condensation and foundation establishment practitioners from a distance, whom he ignored as he focused on his journey. After a few days, the mortal settlements became sparse, and the land grew wild and overgrown. 2 days later, Han Li arrived at Falcon Cloud Village, descending from his flying magic tool and continuing on foot. The village was crude, with only 4 intersecting roads, yellow mud and scorched wood buildings, and a simple, functional layout. Despite the chilly weather, Han Li walked calmly in neat Confucian robes. The villagers seemed unperturbed by his presence. accustomed to cultivators nearby. As he proceeded, his attention was caught by two white-robed men approaching him. One was tall, the other short, both appearing around 20, their bodies radiating spiritual qi fluctuations that signified cultivation at the 8th and 7th layers of qi condensation. The taller youth saluted Han Li respectfully and asked, "Might I know Senior's esteemed name? Surely you have come to participate in the Grand Assembly?" Han Li, slightly surprised, replied, "The Grand Assembly? I am unaware. I am only searching for spiritual herbs." "The assembly began yesterday," the taller youth explained. "If Senior wished to attend, you would already be at Snowmound Mountain. You appear to have arrived just in time." "That does not matter," the shorter youth added eagerly. "Senior still has time to enter. The Grand Assembly is hosted jointly by the three great clans of Guanning Prefecture. There are countless common and rare herbs for sale, including hundreds of years-old specimens and even 1,000-year-old wild monarch ginseng. Small sects and loose cultivators also participate. No taxes are charged on revenue." Han Li's eyes flickered with interest. "The three great clans? Are they the Kong, Zhao, and Dong clans?" "That is correct," said the taller youth. "We are disciples of the Kong clan, assigned to receive cultivators arriving for the assembly. Originally, we intended to attend ourselves, but it seems Senior arrived just in time." Han Li glanced around, noticing the villagers' familiarity with cultivators. "This village is under the direct supervision of the Kong clan? They seem comfortable with cultivators nearby. That is rare." The taller youth nodded. 6 years ago, the village entered the clan's ownership and was settled with our immortal descendants. As a result, they do not fear cultivators like us." Han Li muttered under his breath, frowning. "This will be troublesome." The shorter youth, eager, asked, "What, does Senior have some other affairs? Could he tell us? Perhaps we can be of assistance." Han Li pondered to himself for a moment before calmly saying, "It's nothing. It won't be too late to mention it in the future. Since there is an extensive gathering here, I'll take a look there first." The two white-robed youths exchanged glances, and the shorter one smiled, saying, "That's good, let us lead the way, Senior." Soon, both of them produced disc-shaped flying magic tools, tossing them lightly into the air before mounting them gracefully. Han Li, in turn, produced a sparkling flying sword, stepping onto it and vanishing into a blur as he ascended into the sky. Upon seeing the flying sword, the shorter youth's eyes widened in admiration. "Senior's magic tool is a high-grade flying sword. You must be an inner disciple of a large sect. There is no way a master or sect would give such a tool to a low-grade disciple." Han Li let out a light chuckle and replied calmly, "My sect has strict rules that forbid revealing one's affiliation while on a journey. I hope you two fellow Taoists will respect that and refrain from asking further." The youths, slightly embarrassed, felt even more certain of Han Li's status as a disciple of a prestigious sect, and their expressions became noticeably more respectful. The three cultivators then proceeded south of the village, flying over the countryside toward the Snowmound Mountains. From a distance, Han Li could see a line of dark, jagged peaks stretching across the horizon. In truth, it was more accurate to call it a mountain range than a single mountain. It spanned over 500 kilometers, one of the larger ranges in the Liao province. Rumor had it that demons and restless spirits lingered deep within the mountains. Even low-grade cultivators sometimes vanished without a trace. Those who went missing often triggered search parties, but few were ever found. Most disappearances involved local low-grade cultivators, and over time, the incidents became rare as few dared to venture too deeply. Fortunately, the Grand Assembly was not being held deep within the mountains. Instead, it was located atop a lofty mountain at the edge of the range, at a town specifically prepared for the gathering. As they approached, Han Li's eyes caught sight of the newly constructed town, with elegant, towering buildings atop the mountain. His brow furrowed in contemplation, sensing more than just the physical beauty of the place. "Senior, we've arrived," the taller youth said, pointing toward the town below. "Foundation establishment cultivators are assigned individual rooms. Seniors at core formation stage or above are given full buildings. This ensures proper accommodation for all attendees." Han Li silently nodded, releasing his spiritual sense to survey the town more carefully. He immediately detected the presence of a nascent soul cultivator within the town. Whether this cultivator had come to participate in the Grand Assembly or was someone else entirely, such as the eccentric Kong that Feng Yu had mentioned before his death, was unclear. The noble clans of the Great Jin were not to be underestimated. Unlike the Heavenly South, where cultivator clans rarely exceeded late core formation, here a nascent soul cultivator was entirely possible. Yet, the aura Han Li detected was peculiar, faintly emanating traces of corpse qi. Well concealed though it was, Han Li's overwhelming spiritual sense made the subtle traces clearly perceptible. Could this be a cultivator practicing a devilish Tao or a heretical technique? Han Li thought carefully. The Kong clan, he recalled, was affiliated with the prestigious Heavenly Sage sect. It would be highly unusual, and potentially scandalous, for a sect of that standing to host a guest practicing a wicked or heretical path. As he pondered this, the trio descended to the town gates, where 4 blue-robed cultivators greeted them. Meanwhile, in a secret underground chamber over 70 meters below the surface, the lid of a pitch-black coffin shifted. A pure white hand emerged, pushing the lid aside, revealing a man in yellow robes wearing a king's crown. He appeared to be in his 30s, with an expression of bewilderment as he sat upright. "What is happening?" I felt a sudden wave of trepidation. "Could someone be spying on me?" he muttered. Carefully, he extended his spiritual sense, scanning the entire mountain, focusing particularly on the village and its cultivators above. After a long while, he detected nothing unusual. Frowning, he muttered to himself, "Perhaps it was just an old cultivator passing nearby. The black jade coffin should conceal my corpse qi, so there is no reason for it to attract attention." Satisfied, he returned to the coffin, sliding the lid back into place. Silence once again enveloped the underground chamber. On the surface, the blue-robed cultivators guided Han Li toward the plaza at the town center, which was bustling with nearly 500 cultivators in a vibrant scene. The plaza was divided into distinct areas. Some groups were engaged in conversation. Others were selling wares. Vendor booths varied in size, with some using tables while others displayed items directly on the ground. The atmosphere was lively and organized, with an unmistakable sense of order. Han Li's gaze settled on a massive tent at the plaza's center. Radiating brilliant white light, the tent was, in fact, a magic tool, more than 300 meters wide, with multiple openings that allowed people to enter and exit freely. Other stone buildings flickered with light, but received far less attention from visitors. Cultivators were pacing or chatting around these buildings, yet the tent clearly served as the focal point. Apart from a few qi condensation cultivators from the 3 hosting clans, nearly all attendees were Foundation Establishment cultivators or above. Over a dozen core formation cultivators were present, far exceeding what a similar-sized event in the Heavenly South might attract. And this was only a local trade fair hosted by a few noble clans of the Great Jin. Han Li recalled his first entry into the cultivation world at the Great South meeting, feeling a touch of nostalgia. In the morning, free trade was allowed, while the afternoon would host the auction. Rare materials, magic tools, and other items could be exchanged freely prior to the auction. The fair was to span 3 days, with the final day featuring the auction of the 1,000-year-old monarch ginseng. Core formation cultivators likely attended solely for that prize. Strolling through the plaza, Han Li found most items ordinary, of little interest to him. Some items could appeal to Foundation Establishment and core formation cultivators, yet he already possessed countless rare materials. Only a few booths, selling unusual magic tools and materials, drew his attention. After careful observation, he determined they were of limited value. Just as he considered entering the central tent to explore further, his attention shifted sharply. A chill ran down his spine as he noticed an old man with pointed ears and thin cheeks watching him with a mixture of amazement and scrutiny. The man's cultivation was at the early Foundation Establishment stage. Han Li's gaze hardened, a cold glint in his eye. "Fellow Taoist, you have been following me for some time. Do you recognize me?" The old man smiled awkwardly. "Please do not misunderstand, fellow Taoist. My name is Jin Yuan. I mean no harm. I am simply curious. You seem highly knowledgeable about these tools and materials. I hold you in great admiration." Han Li nodded calmly. "I see. Since you have followed me for a while, surely there is more to your intentions than idle curiosity." The old man laughed softly. "You are sharp, fellow Taoist. Indeed, I have a request. I possess a strange treasure, one whose use and origin I cannot determine. I hoped you might appraise it. If it proves valuable, perhaps I may sell it to you." Han Li's eyes flickered. "A strange treasure? Very well, show me." He gestured toward a side room. "Let us go to that hidden room and discuss this. I also have a few items I would like explained." "A hidden room? You have to pay a spirit stone for that. That is quite luxurious," the old man said hesitantly. Han Li mysteriously smiled and said, "That's fine. I will pay the spirit stone. I simply hope that your strange treasure isn't to my disappointment." In this episode, we saw Han Li stepping into the cultivation world once again and skillfully handling challenges that seemed far beyond his apparent strength. From the arrival of hostile visitors and the tense confrontation on the mountain, to his effortless display of power against Ma Yulin, Han Li's abilities left everyone astonished and shifted the balance in favor of his allies. We also followed him as he traveled toward the Grand Assembly in Guanning Prefecture, navigating both the bustling trade fair filled with rare herbs and magic tools, and the mysterious atmosphere surrounding the Nascent Soul cultivator concealed among the crowd. Along the way, Han Li encountered a curious old man with a strange treasure, hinting at new opportunities and secrets waiting to be unraveled. Through these events, we witnessed Han Li's cleverness, composure, and growing influence within the cultivation world, all while keeping his true intentions and full strength largely hidden. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Immortal's journey to immortality. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates on Han Li's journey. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.